Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. Folks, I'm so excited whenever I do a show, and I get to meet so many wonderful people. And I have a wonderful guest with me today. I have the amazing, and I mean amazing, Annie Dike, and she spells her name Annie-Dike. She was a lawyer, defense lawyer for the defense side, the plaintiff side. She is a sailor. Her book, Clovis, that is her first book that she wrote, already won the Bronze Feathered Quill 2026 award in the inspirational category. Folks, I'm telling you, for a first-time book, Annie Dike just hit a home run out of the ballpark. I love this book. The book is Clovis, Clovis, and I can't wait to start talking about this wonderful book. So I want to welcome Annie Dike to Chatting with Betsy.
Hi, with that intro, I'm not sure where to begin, but that was quite promising. Hi, Betsy. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Oh, and I also forgot, folks, because I get so excited. I forget to say some things. Annie also wrote multiple Amazon best-selling sailing books and articles for Sail magazine. And she has a travel blog. So if you travel and you sail, I look into it. www.havewindwilltravel.com. And congratulations on everything, Annie. I'm so happy for you. And even though I'm talking to you for the first time, I'm so proud of you, of all your accomplishments.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That is amazing.
Like we've known each other, all these email chats back and forth. I've gotten to know you a little bit. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just loved your book, Clovis. It really touched me. I cried. I laughed. You'll cry and laugh, folks. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And it's just so. That's quite an intense book that you can't put down. I had trouble putting it down, and I couldn't wait to get to the next chapter. How did you? Clovis is a real place. I know the book is.
That's correct.
Fiction, but Clovis is in New Mexico. That's where you grew up. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, Clovis is really my hometown. Clovis, New Mexico. It's a tiny little spot. We were really excited when we got a Walmart. That was a big deal.
Well, as we would say in New Jersey, you grew up in the sticks. That's what we would say.
Very much so.
Or out in the boondocks. Yeah, we used to say that too. You were a lawyer. How did you get involved in writing? I know you write your magazines for you wrote, for sailing magazines and about sailing. Mm-hmm. How did you come about writing this wonderful book, Clovis?
Well, thank you. Definitely writing has been in my blood forever. I have a fun story I could tell you later, like proof that at age 11 I was trying to be a story writer, storyteller. So I've been doing it years and years, and it's always been a way for me to, interestingly enough, find out sort of what I'm thinking about, like what's really forefront on my mind. Usually when I sit down at the keys, that's what's coming out, is kind of what's prevalent on my mind. So it's been something I've done forever, but in college and law school and in my job as a lawyer, you spend your day writing, all day, emails, notes, letters, briefs, memorandums. So I definitely put it to the side, pleasure writing, for years and years because my day was filled with writing. And so when you come home, you're like, reality TV, yoga clothes, popcorn. I don't want to see a computer. Get it away from me. But interestingly enough, and this will tie into my partner now, Philip, whom I'm with, who I've sailed with and all of this, when we first started dating, I was in Mobile, Alabama, which is about 45 minutes or an hour from Pensacola, Florida, which is where I'm at now. And Philip was in Florida. And so I would write him every morning an email. And after doing that for months and months, he really pushed me. He was like, these are incredible. You need to start writing, more books or novels or a blog, something. Like, he really, really pushed me. And it all started, Betsy, it started with the sailing kind of, and then I started my blog, my Have One Will Travel blog that you've mentioned. And those started to be articles that were more my voice. I think that's where I found my writing voice. It's very self-deprecating. It's descriptive. It's all the things like how I'm speaking right now. That's how I found sort of that cadence of my voice. And then I started with the sailing books, and then I'm happy to dive into Clovis. We can kind of start with when I started writing that. But that's where I was in my writing career when I thought about writing Clovis. I'd had the sailing books and my whole law history kind of happening at that time.
Okay, I have to ask you a question about, because you do sail. Yeah. And folks, as bizarre as my questions might be, it's the what I'm curious about. And has it ever dawned on you, and when you're sailing and you have, a 46-foot sailboat, which is, to me, sounds pretty big. Are you ever, do you ever think about, because I see these movies sometimes of, a wave, flipping your boat over, being in shark-infested waters. I never asked a true sailor, a real sailor. So I have to ask you that. Does that cross your mind when you go out there?
It's funny that the dangers and fears out there, Betsy, are often not at all what people think they are for sailors that really get out and do it. I'll tell you, I am more scared in a car going down the interstate, on any boat, on any ocean. I will 100% tell you that because they go fairly slow. They're not going 80 miles an hour. They're going, maybe ours goes like 5 or 6 miles an hour when she's on average speed, right? And they're safe. Like, these boats they're a lot of them can't sink no matter what you did. They're positive flotation. So the boat itself is very, very sturdy. What I fear about out there when a storm's coming or something really, really big and deadly is coming, this may sound crazy, but I fear damage to the boat. Like, that's going to be the biggest fear of any sailor. If you really ask them, they're like, I don't want my mast to come down. I don't want my rigging to get damaged. It's usually the boat you're more worried about than your own body because you feel pretty safe out there. That's my feeling. Now, I don't know if other sailors will tell you the same. I think they will. You care more about the boat. Your mind is only on the boat. Is she okay? Is she all right? Is she going to get hurt? It's almost like she's another person that you're trying to protect, even though she's protecting you, and she's doing such a good job of it, you don't even think about yourself. I don't get scared for my own body. I really don't. It's a safe, comfortable feeling for me.
Oh, that's good. I had to ask that because I've seen,
Absolutely.
little documentaries, and, there was movies about boats, topping over, and I said, I got to ask Annie that.
Oh, you have to. The hardest thing I told Betsy about being out there is it's psychological. Like, your biggest enemy is going to be your mind when you really get out on the ocean and it's just you and the weather, really, and the world. Like, you're really going to dive deep into your mind. And if you've got a lot of stuff that's troubling you, and a lot of people have a really hard time being out there with themselves. That's the hardest part. I'm really happy with myself.
Yeah.
It can get very uncomfortable. So I'm a very happy person, so I love it out there. And your biggest problem is your own mind or other people on the boat. I think that's the biggest fear, personally.
Yeah, but you know what, Annie, you hit the nail on the head because a lot of people are not happy with themselves.
They're not.
And they're not.
It shines a flashlight on it.
And they're not comfortable with themselves. I have no particular order to how I ask questions, Annie. Whatever comes to my head.
I don't care, and I'll talk as much as you let me. Just jump on in. I can go all day long.
I
didn't really tell you about the writing of Clovis. I kind of stopped there. If you want to tell me, you want me to tell you how I started Clovis.
Yeah, go ahead, because it's amazing. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, the other books were my first were sailing books, and they're nonfiction. So they're true. They're exactly what happened on our sailing adventures. And then when I sat down to write Clovis, I knew I wanted to start with my childhood, my memories with my dad, and you've got it from the book. When my brother and I can tell you how much of it is true. It's about up to high school. It's about 100% true in the book, and then it starts getting into fiction. But I knew that time frame of my life when my dad would pick us up in his big rig and literally drive us. We wouldn't go just to Texas. In real life, my brother and I went all the way to Alabama from New Mexico. So it was like a 17-hour drive. And we were in a big rig. We were around cows. My dad took us to rodeos. And was it a little dangerous and haphazard? And, did our teeth get brushed every night? No, absolutely not. But did we have one amazing time, and the adventures and the things I saw, and thankfully survived. But I knew I wanted to write those stories, and without giving anything away, the Maxi Pad story in the book is a perfect example of that's the kind of stuff I want to capture from my childhood. So I started there, and I knew I wanted to write about my upbringing and what Clovis means to me. And then I wove in fiction from women I've met cruising, Betsy. So a lot of women on boats out there have been through incredible, amazing things, and they still have joy and happiness, and they share it, and that has just always influenced me and inspired me. And so the second half of the book is more fiction based on stories I've been told.
Wow. I was so amazed about reading about your childhood, and, talking back when I remember my dad, he was a salesman. Sometimes my sister and I would go with him on the road. And my father would stop and take a nap. And, Annie, we would play in the play area, right, unsupervised, 2 little girls. No, you wouldn't dare do that today.
I know, right?
But that was,
but you remember that as such like a poignant memory,
Yeah. And that was during the 60s, and we'd wait in the car. We'd be in the car for hours waiting for him.
Right, entertaining yourselves, and that was a big part of our childhood, too. So the book, you'll see, revolves around, like, playing Legos and playing school, teaching each other. Like, I do miss that element of childhood that I think is kind of gone these days, that kids used to entertain themselves and build things and invent things and create. And I think that's missing, and it's very sad. And I wanted to capture and bring that back. So.
That's true, because I worked at a preschool, and these kids were micromanaged. Like preschool, after school they go to school, and everything is play dates, organized events. My parents opens up the front door or back door and said, "There you go."
Oh, my gosh. So, Betsy, I have a great story for you. It's very short, but it's funny. So my brother, I don't want to ruin any spoilers, but just know that I have a brother now, and he's alive and lovely, and we are very, very close. And he has a daughter, and his daughter's name is Megan. And I was like 22, my brother's 25-ish, and Megan's like 8. So this was years ago. And I'm with my brother, and he's like, "Well, I have to take Megan to go bike riding." And I kind of looked at him like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah, we've got to take her to go bike riding." And I was like, "What do you mean, John? What do you mean?" And he's like, "We got to put the bike in the SUV, and we drive to this little park where she goes around and round and round. And then we put the bike back in the car." And I'm looking at him like, John and I rode our bikes from our house miles. I mean, all over town. We didn't have to come back until dark. That's how it was. And it just blew my mind. And I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Don't look at me like that. I can't let her just leave the house on her bike. Then I'm the bad parent." And I was like, "What?" This is the new way, right?
A whole different, it's a whole different world. Yes, I used to follow my son around the block when he was learning how to ride a bike. I wouldn't let him go by himself.
And that was in and I understand.
Yeah. That was in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, it's a whole different world today.
It's different. So part of my thinking was recapturing that. I want to recapture the nostalgia and fun of like a 90s childhood that felt safe. That was part of it,
yeah. Too. I like that you mentioned the Cure Beers and Legos and being artistic.
All those good toys.
I also so admire your, I want to say, authentic way that you portray the characters in your book. And I don't want to give anything away because folks, you really want to read this book. Mm-hmm. But there's so many lessons in your book about life not going as planned, about people not knowing their whole story, and you think, well, maybe that person's not really a good person. And the relationship Callie, who is the character in the book, had with her mom, and you could just, that was so heart-touching. When Callie finds out what her mom went through, and then me, became more understanding of her mom. See, we don't always know what our moms went through, our parents went through. We don't, because they didn't talk about it.
I think we never know. I think we never know. I think we can never fully comprehend what they've experienced personally. And I'm so glad you touched on the mom, Betsy, because for me, I am fixated on the mother-daughter relationship. I can tell I'm writing more books right now, and I still gravitate back towards that because I think they can be powerful, but they can be toxic. They can be, so complicated, the mother-daughter. There's so many layers. And my own mom and I were very angry with each other and quite estranged for a good bit of our adult life. And I hate to say that now, but it was just true. And it came from her conduct and the way that it was mean to me, but I didn't understand at the time where she was coming from and what she had been through. And it takes age, it takes wisdom. You have to get older yourself to become unself-righteous, and just think you're so right about everything and got it all figured out. And you realize you don't. You get a little more humble, and looking back on my mom without revealing anything in the book, the wonderful thing I was able to do in the book was say and do things to her that I wished I could have in real life, but I was able to right those wrongs, write them on the page, and that was very meaningful to me. So I'm glad you latched onto that relationship too. It's a very complicated but beautiful one.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I was so envious of your relationship in the book with your brother. And I'm like, wow, I didn't have that with my siblings. There was 4 of us. And I didn't have that, but you had each other, and you stuck by each other, even if you might have hurt each other. You were there for each other, and I thought that was so heart-touching. And there's just so many stories, and I'll tell you what other. You're welcome. Without giving a lot away, and if you let me know if I'm giving too much away.
No,
Callie's,
this is your podcast. You can give away all you want. You're boss.
I don't want to give away too much of your book. Callie's character, as she's changing from, she wants to get out of Clovis, which is spelled, sometimes people can't understand my New Jersey accent, Clovis, Clovis, that's in New Mexico. It is a real town, folks. She wanted to change. She wanted to get out of there, and she changed. And in the course of changing, she hurt her best friend. And I love how that ends. And she becomes, she wants to be called by her full name, which is, how do you pronounce it? Calliope?
Calliope.
Oh, Calliope. Well, I killed that.
No worries. No. I'm glad you're touching on all that, because that's a lot of really good stuff. Is the big theme of the book, I hope, and my big takeaway, and this starts really from my dad, lessons my dad taught me, is change. And I hope people read Clovis and think more about change is going to happen. I mean, that's what life is. From the time you're born till you die is how I see it. And my dad has taught me this for sure, is that, if you reject change or fight it, you're just going to make it worse. And it usually brings more opportunities. It brings people into your life. When people pass away and die, often you meet other people that open up. You have these holes to fill. So change, Clovis, I hope people see change is going to happen to you. It's going to wash over you. And if you are ready for it and you embrace it as to maybe it's going to bring something new and good, it's just such a better life, if you just open up to that. But he also said many, many times in the book that with joy, comes pain. Like, we're never going to know joy without pain. So change is going to be painful. It's going to be lost jobs. It's going to be lost people.
Yeah.
Lose your home, maybe to a fire. I mean, these are the kind of changes I'm talking about, big, disruptive, take the foundation from under you change. And those are going to happen all your whole life. Those are going to happen. And if you're kind of ready for that, I think people handle it a lot better. So I hope to inspire people to welcome change, even though it can be, like you said, painful and hurt people. And you always hurt the people around you. I mean, family, because they're close, you're going to hurt them, which is just terrible, but it's the truth. It's truth. And if you realize that, maybe you'll soften when you hurt them and realize when they hurt you, it's not always about you, Those are good lessons, too, to kind of take away.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I did really like that. Wrote, with joy, it does, you do have pain, you have loss, but you can't live in fear. And I just interviewed someone a couple of weeks ago, and they said, people who are more resilient in life, they have a much better life because they've learned to go with the flow. And
adapt, yeah. I mean, I 100% agree, It's been really interesting for me, Betsy, I'll be honest, too. So I'm 43, right, which I'm
you're
happy
a
with
youngster.
it. It's a lovely age. I feel old and young at the same time. It's kind of crazy because I connect a lot with women of your age, and I mean that as a compliment. I can't wait to be your age. I think it's an amazing privilege to age. And so I connect with women like you a lot because I feel like everything I've been through, I didn't realize how much it educated me to what's important to me, what makes me happy and what doesn't. And now I embrace everything that happened, all those dark times, because I learned so much about myself. I grew up so quickly, and now that's valuable to me because I meet a lot of women my age, 43, and they don't know what makes them happy. They don't know what they want. They don't know if they have kids and is that making them happy. They have a career maybe they don't like, and they're scared to make change. They're afraid of change. And I feel lucky now. I feel blessed now. I certainly didn't in my 20s, but now I'm proud of all of this and embrace it and talk about it because it is so valuable to me.
Oh, that is true. Change, let's say the only thing that's constant is change. And I had to, I'll tell you what, there's nothing, Annie, like a terminal illness to straighten out your priorities. And when my husband, was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, that was a change. And watching him deteriorate, watching him die, and losing that was totally a huge change. And I said, you know what? It's a mindset. And I said, if Alzheimer's journey didn't defeat me, I'm sure not going to let grieving defeat me. I'm going to win. I'm not going to give it the power. And
Betsy, oh my gosh, you're touching my heart now. That's so impressive. I've never heard anybody say that quite like you just did, that I'm not going to let grief get me, because it's powerful and it's huge and it's every day. But look at you. That's so inspiring. I've always been impressed with everything I've read about you, and I wanted to tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
Your spirit is impressive. It's so impressive. You're like a little flower that's growing, and it gets stomped, and you keep growing, and you get stomped, and you just grow again. It's amazing. I love hearing you say that. I will take that away from this conversation.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. And
yes.
Back 6 years ago, people weren't talking about grieving. I was. And I was open with my grieving, but they weren't talking about it. And, I finally learned, you know what? I'm not broken. This is my new normal. I had to learn my new normal. I had to accept, yes, at certain times of the year, which is like from Thanksgiving to New Year's, I'm going to be in a funk. I'm going to be sad because that's the time I was dying. And I learned to accept that and know that I'm okay. I'm okay, and I'm okay if I cry.
Right.
Oh,
Betsy, you're amazing me. I'll tell you something that happened, and I don't think you know this, but in the writing of Clovis, which you probably read, the dedication is to my mom. She passed away, Betsy. Yeah, immediately. I mean, suddenly and unexpected. And I just say all that to say I've never been a teary-eyed cry person, and I hate to say in my 20s and 30s, I thought it was weak. I thought it was small. I thought I'm stronger than that. Now, Betsy, and my mom and I weren't super close, but her death just ripped something out of my soul that I can cry and I can look at a cloud and it just defeats me. And it's okay though. I mean, I walk through my tears and I'm kind of crying and on the street and sniffling and singing a song, but they're kind of happy and sad at the same time, but I cry so much more. But it's okay.
Yeah.
I feel stronger. I feel a lot stronger than I did because I'm not hiding anything.
Oh, well, well, I'm so sorry about your mom. My deepest condolences.
I am sorry about your husband,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And you bring out a point, and even in the book, your mom didn't like you and your brother crying. And
yes. You picked up on that. That's where I get it.
Yes. And you know what? I was thinking the whole time when I was reading this, Annie, this was the old school way of thinking. This is how I was brought up. Yep. You don't cry. Yep. Crying is weakness. This is how I was brought up. And as a girl, you don't cry in school. Yeah. They made fun of you. My father saw it as a weakness. And it took mental health therapy to realize it's not a weakness. It's a strength. Crying is proven to be cathartic for a person, and it's okay to show your feelings. And I wish more people would. And I said this on my show many times, especially when it comes to boys. We need to have an environment, raise our boys up where they can show their emotion and not be criticized for it. And then maybe 100%. We won't have men unaliving themselves.
Oh, my gosh, I know. That toxic masculinity that doesn't help anybody, especially the man. He's as miserable as anyone, I'm glad you said that because it's funny. I didn't put the stop your crying, my mom's message to what I was just telling you, but you're so right. My mom said that all the time. Stop your crying. And you're like, and you snuffed it all up because you're like, okay, get through the day, and that's what we were taught. And it's taken me to get to my 40s to open up about a lot of this stuff. And what I've found, Betsy, is so many women felt like me in their 20s and 30s that they were an imposter, that they had these roots they were trying to hide from their past and fake it till they make it. And apparently a lot of women were doing this, and we all should have just been talking to each other. It would have been a lot easier, to get through the day had we bonded. But I'm doing it now in my 40s, which is great.
That's so true. When I was growing up, 60s and 70s, we didn't talk about this stuff.
No, nobody did. You were broken.
You find out.
If you went to therapy, you were broken, which is crazy.
But you found out. Yeah, you find out, wow, man, other people were abused. They couldn't talk about it. And, no one knows what goes on behind closed doors. Your parent could be one way in public, another way in private. These are, things that we don't know about. I am so impressed, Annie, and how you did each character in the book. That is a talent, my friend. How did you get in the space of being, like your your mom's character, your dad, your brothers, your boyfriend in your book who became your husband, and your brother's friend, and your girlfriend, your best friend. What was that like? How did you do all that? I know it's a loaded question.
That was really, no, that's a great question. I call them the voices. That's kind of the easiest way for me to reference those because they're voices of other characters, right? It was cool. So, Betsy, when I first wrote Clovis, I didn't have any of them. It was all just Callie, first person, just, and, it was like stream of consciousness. The thing poured out of me a little aside. When I first finished it, Betsy, it was 3 times the length it is now. I'm not kidding. It was so long. So I was like, I wrote a book, but it was a huge tome. So I hooked up with an editing group that was going to help me edit it. And before I turned it over to them, I was polishing it, and I thought at the very end, I was like, I need to hear from the other characters. Like, I didn't like just being in Callie's head and only knowing her thoughts. As accepting as she tries to be of other opinions and she tries to be open-minded, it still just isn't the full picture. And so I added voices at the very end. That's all I had, Betsy, was like Mom, Dad, and Jude, I think, just 3 kind of core voices. And I spent a lot of time on them, and I thought they turned out pretty good, but, I didn't know. It was the first time I'd ever done it. So I turned it into my editor, and he said, for whatever reason, like you, he's like, you have some kind of knack for this. Like, I thought a different person had started writing, which is huge to me. That just really, really wowed me. And so he told me he wanted more of those and earlier on. And so he wanted me to have more voices, even multiple times. Like he's seen Mom will speak twice, Dad will speak twice, and earlier on in the book. So I went back, and in my editing process, that's when I started to add more. And it was a little easy for me. I'm not saying easy, but to do my mom, she's talked to me my whole life. I know exactly probably what she's going to say and the tone she's going to use. Same with my dad and my brother. But there were some new characters like Levi, my brother's person. He is completely fictional, and so he's like a person that doesn't even exist in the world. And so he intimidated me more than anyone because he's completely made up. Mm-hmm. But I just tried to imagine what he's like, what his background's like. I close my eyes, I really do, and I try to. What would this person say, and how would they say it? And that's just really what I do. And to me, it's the most fun thing to do, to sit in front of my keyboard and dream up all this magic. So I love it, and thank you. So that's a compliment.
Oh, you're welcome. I just all the characters and Braden, who became your husband in the book, and I really like how you bring out how people hid what they were back then, like your brother being gay in the book and hiding it his whole life. And even though your parents in the book knew, they were ashamed. He felt ashamed, and he left. And that has happened. I grew up in the 60s, so when I found out a cousin was gay, I don't know, I didn't think anything of it. I was young. And then he was kicked out of his home. And this is during the, 60s. Yeah. Callie, you're not Callie, you're Annie.
I do it all the time.
Thinking of Callie.
I'm her.
I have a son, so I'm a mom. And I could not picture, I can't wrap my head around throwing my son out of the house because of who he loves. Now, if it was a different situation of drugs,
sure,
that's a different story. But why put your kid out on the street to be subjected to abuse and being homeless and being taken advantage of? I just don't get that, and I really feel that if people don't accept someone's lifestyle, you don't have to. Say that on my show a lot. You don't have to accept someone's lifestyle. You don't. That doesn't give you the right.
You at all.
Right. It doesn't give you the right to humiliate and, be mean to someone.
Yeah.
Everybody
I'm
wants
glad you
to
touched on.
live in peace. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, and what I really wanted to do with Jude, and I didn't know whether you wanted to reveal it, so I'm glad you did now. So it's a great topic to talk about. I didn't say that he was gay for most of the book until it's about midway through, because my goal with all of that. So my brother in real life is 100% gay, and just about everything I've said about how he came out and developed is true. Because, like I said, everything up to high school is true. So that's his real story. And so what I wanted to do with this book, and, now that I know what he went through and how hard his life was, I thought my life was hard. And I'm like, now when I learned about him, I was like, oh, please. Like, I wasn't even dealing with this whole identity crisis in the middle of all of that stuff we were dealing with. So then I even felt more for him. And what I want to do with all of my characters is introduce them to you as the reader with traits that don't have nothing to do with him being gay, or let's say if you're against people who are black or poor or whatever your prejudice or racist thing is, I want to take that trait out of the equation, introduce you to the character based on their character. What jokes do they like? What food do they eat? What do they like in the morning? Just the person that they are, the human. And then my goal was to say, okay, now he's gay. How do you feel about him? And I had a lot of readers tell me, Betsy, they were like, I liked him before I knew he was gay. And I'm like, yes, because that's what I'm going for. Maybe you can judge him on his character before you judge him on being gay. And if I can change people's minds just the slightest bit, where they liked my character and then they find out the character has the trait, that to me is so big. And I would love to accomplish that in the world. I think stories do that. People's stories do that.
Yes, we are so connected by stories, and I'll tell you, I've been doing this show for 6 years, Annie, and the human interest stories are the ones that people really connect to, because when we share our experiences, it's a human connection. We're connecting.
Absolutely.
Our humanity.
Right.
And I was so touched because I knew in reading the book, and I said, oh, Jude in the book, he's gay, but he's hiding it. Before Jude came out, I had sensed that.
Oh, good. You knew. Okay, good.
I knew.
Good. I tried to paint it just enough, so I'm glad to hear that.
I knew, and
because
I just thought it was...
For me, as a kid, I didn't know. It wasn't something I would pick up on as a young girl, He was just my brother. He was just creative and fun and energetic, I never thought gay because I didn't understand the concept, It's
like, in high school, I knew this one boy, and I knew he was gay. Unfortunately, I made fun of him because of it, but that was way back, folks. Like over 50 years ago. And I was right. He was, and he did marry a man eventually. But, just, of course, that was over 50 years ago. I would not do that now. And I taught my son, you respect everyone. Everyone is not going to agree with you. You're not going to agree with everyone. That's okay. And
that's all right.
And then your book, Clovis, it eventually shows that people were accepting of Jude. That maybe not in the beginning, but they were later on. And I think we just need to, if people would just lose their biased opinions and just accept people as they are, not by, the color of their skin, their religion, whatever it is, their orientation, but the essence, the heart of that person. Who are they? And what does it matter? Who they love.
It's so important. It's so hard to wake up and read about shootings and things, and I know that the shooter knew nothing about any of those people, they're actually taking them out of this world based on a trait, and that just eats me up, and so I just, what can I do about that? What stories can I put in the world that might help that, and just tough. But I'm hoping more people start reading books like this, start softening, and thankfully for Jude and my brother in real life, he is married. He has a husband, and he lives in Nashville, which is a great gay hub. It's a welcoming community, and he's happy finally. But it's taken decades, it's taken a long, long time, much longer for him than me.
Yeah, it's it was not easy. Back then, even you're younger. My son is 41, so you're almost you're around my son's age, and even in the 80s, it was talked about. AIDS was coming, it was getting known. So people feared the homosexual community because of AIDS, and it's just. To me, Annie, education, and I feel that your book educates people in so many different ways, and it's just so heart touching. And I'm not going to give away the book, but how you can have a blended family, how there's more than one way to have a family, not just the traditional mom and dad family, but there's other ways of having families, and you bring that out in your book. Yes.
And I think now, even for me now, I have family, thankfully. My dad's alive, my brother, and we're as close as, brother and sister can be. But I also have friends right now that are like my chosen family, Betsy, the kind of people I text every day. We have lunch on Wednesdays, and you kind of pour your heart out to these people. I think you can surround yourself with people later in your life that you choose as family. And I think that's an important message, is to find people that bring you up and that you bring them up. And, your family's still a wonderful thing, but you had them from the beginning, right? So I do think it's important to also reach out, like you're saying, connect, forge these connections, find people, it's so important. And my friends now, they're closer to me than a lot of my family just because we talk every day, and that's a wonderful thing. And I'm now sharing all this stuff that I used to in my 20s and 30s not talk about, but all the women I talk to, they feel the exact same way. So it's been a lovely, eye-opening chapter for me. Great connection.
That is, you know what, I'll tell you what, Annie, it's so great to know that people feel the same way as you, and that's another reason why I do my show. That's why there's a Chatting with Betsy, because I wanted people to know you're not alone. You might think you're alone, but you're not, because there's thousands of people, if not more, who feel the same way. We're just afraid to say it.
And it's such an important message. I am just stumbling on this at this time of my life, and when I read your little message about why you do this podcast, that's exactly what I felt. I was like, Betsy is trying to put a microphone on what people are suffering with in their homes alone. And I was like, let's do this. Let's turn up the volume. I love it. It's a great message. I think so many people could be healed and have better days if they would just talk. Just talk. You're not broken. You're just talking. It's okay.
That's so true. I'm a big mental health advocate. I always advocate for, going for support if you need it. It's okay. Grief counseling. I actually went in my car, Annie, long before everyone else went in their car to do videos. I was 10 years ago, or 9 years ago. Yeah, 9 years ago. I was in my car. I said, you know what? Let me go in my car and just let it rip about what I'm going through. About caregiving.
Good for you.
And, just dispelling the myths, of Alzheimer's and showing my husband's face. And, Annie, I never thought anybody would listen to me. Not my own family that I grew up with didn't listen to me. I didn't think people would listen to me. And I put it out in the different support groups that I was in, and I was shocked. Responses, and they were so heart-touching, but people want to feel connected. That's the thing. People want to feel connected, and in our society where we're connected with all these devices, we're yet so disconnected at the same time.
Oh, I love that you're saying this. I hate the device. I think it's ruined our society. That and big houses, I just think have really ruined us. We're so isolated, you know. I mean, we don't interact the way we used to in a meaningful way. You know, these conversations don't happen as much as they should. I feel that way. I'm glad you said that. As much as I'm talking on the phone right now, I wish I could throw it in a river. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's so true, and I really feel for today's generation because you could see they don't know how to communicate, you know, face to face, and it's just a whole different way of meeting people and dating, and you know, it takes.
I'm so glad I'm the age I am. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. This newfangled stuff. I feel like I got to learn new stuff every day. I'm like, Jesus, when do I become the expert finally? That's never going to happen.
Yeah, me.
That's okay.
Me. Me. No, it's a learning process. So how is this?
It is.
This had to be so emotional for you to write because you're thinking back of memories. It had to be really emotional. Memories coming up. I mean, I know how that could be.
There was a lot of pacing in this living room right here. I'm looking at it where I would like wring my hands and wipe my tears and be like, okay, get back into it, crack my knuckles, you know. And for me, to showcase love, which was a huge, you know, goal and theme in the book, to me, you kind of have to take it away. Like loss is usually when you find out what you had, right? You know, and so and to lose it when you know how much you loved it. And so I knew this book was going to be massively painful, not giving anything away too much, but it was very tough. It was, but I feel like it was therapy for me, Betsy. It was just like a big counseling session with myself, which sounds crazy, but remember in the beginning I said I write to kind of find out what I'm feeling and what I think about it and how I feel about it. This really, really helped me see my family in a much more forgiving light. I forgave a lot of things and softened on a lot of things that I was holding on to that I didn't need to. And that's what Clovis did for me.
Wow. And what would, I know we talked about it, but what would you like the readers to take away from reading Clovis? Because there's a lot to take away from, folks.
There's a lot to take away, but I think everything we've talked about, I love the change theme, but I'll tell you, Betsy, more important for me is the human connection. I hope you will meet people in my book and every book that I write going forward, because I'm hoping to write many. I hope you will meet the person and judge that person by their humanity, you know, before any of the things you want to reject. I think the characters are the most important part to me, and I hope to change people's minds about characters.
Oh, I love that. I can't believe how fast the time went. Annie, what are you working on next? Because this is your first book that's just blew me away, so I would love to read your second book.
Oh, thank you. Well, actually, the second picks up right where Clovis left off, so it's about 70% done. I'm about 2/3 of the way done of the first manuscript, which it goes editing after that for months and months. But I believe I will have a sequel prepared by this year to either self-publish or if I can get a publishing house. I may try again to see if they'll pick me up this time because they didn't with Clovis, which is fine. So we'll see. But I think it'll come out this year, either self-published or traditional publishing.
Wow, that is great job. Bravo. Now, where can people purchase this phenomenal book, Clovis?
So the best way to get everything related to me, which is all of my stuff, is anniedikeauthor.com. So that's pretty easy, anniedikeauthor.com. And that's the books are there, all my social media links are there, sign up for my newsletter there, all that stuff.
Oh, I'm going to sign up for your newsletter.
Yes, please. I'm going. The Clovis Club.
Yeah. And are you doing a lot of authors now are getting into book clubs via Zoom. Are you doing that? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, especially via Zoom, because I'm trying to do a lot of this remotely and digitally, because my partner Philip and we travel so much. I don't want to not be able to travel in this chapter of my life.
Right.
So I'm trying to do a lot of this remotely, like I'm doing with you right now. So absolutely is the answer via Zoom. I would love that. You're welcome to toss that out to anybody. I'll send them books and appear at the club meeting.
Oh, that's great because it's a way of getting your book out. But I wish you much success. I know you already are successful, and I know it's just going to bloom. And just buckle up, Annie, because you're going to skyrocket.
From your mouth to the heaven's ears.
I could.
Thank you, Betsy. I hope so.
Yep. You're welcome. I could definitely see that. It's I've interviewed many, hundreds, literally, of authors, and I could tell by their passion and how they talk about their work whether they're going to be successful. And I'm usually right.
What?
So.
What? Are you for real?
You have a passion.
What's your prediction on me? Like 80%? What are you doing? You got me excited now.
You have a passion. You have a great personality. You're a great guest, and I know you'll do phenomenal. I mean, this book, folks, you're welcome. You have to read this book, Clovis, and go on Annie's website, and all the information about Annie Dike will be in the blog that Jeannie White writes, and Jeannie's the station manager. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who's CEO of Passion World Talk Radio Network, who makes this possible, all this possible. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Thank you for listening, subscribing. Yes. And if you don't already subscribe, it is for free. I'm on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, Apple. You could program Alexa if you have Alexa, Chatting with Betsy. And I want to help as many people as possible. I have great guests on, and you're not going to want to miss the show because I have really, if I have to toot my own horn, and I will, I have really wonderful guests lined up, and I am very grateful and blessed to have this platform to give people a voice, to use my own voice to help others. And that's why there is Chatting with Betsy. It's all about helping people not feel alone, and you don't have to, and know that you're not alone. And I just want to thank everyone for spending time and listening today. And when you hear the show.
Well, I'll jump in and say one caring heart to another, Betsy. It's been my honor and privilege. I'm so glad you had me on.
Thank you. Oh, you are welcome, and my pleasure. I love talking to you, Annie. You'll have to come back when you have your other book or before.
Absolutely.
You have your other book if you like. What we didn't cover. And as I always say, you can follow me on Facebook, Betsy Wurzel, Wurzel. And as I always say at the end of my show, in the world where you could be anything, please be kind, shine your light bright, because we need it now more than ever before. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Bye-bye now.